Okay, I was talking about how whenever you add in, the only liquid we added was 78 milliliters, right? But then all of a sudden at the end, we have 100 milliliters once it's been reconstituted. So the reason for that, if you remember back to the vocab words, the displacement vocab word, we said you add in 78 mils plus the powder is all of a sudden going to give you that 100 milliliters. Okay, so don't let that throw you there. Alright, we're going to answer those questions. So, we're still looking at the same label. What is the trade name? The trade name, remember, is the one with that little registered trademark behind it. So, amoxil is our trade name. What is the generic name? Generic name is the one that's under it without the little registered trademark. It's amoxicillin. This question is asking unit dose or multi-dose container. Okay, is this a unit dose or multi-dose container? Well, it tells you, let me find it here. Let me think about how to best explain this. So, we want to know unit dose or multi-dose container. Are we going to give all of this medication at one time? That would be a unit dose. Okay. Multi-dose means that we're going to give a little bit, and then we'll come back for another dose, and we'll come back for another dose, come back for another dose. Okay. So you gotta, it doesn't specifically state on there anywhere whether it is one way or the other, but you gotta remember that the concentration up here says that you get 125 milligrams per 5 mil. Okay. So typically that is considered around a dose, whatever concentration they're giving you up there. So, you know, a dose could be considered around 5 mils. And I'm not saying it's going to be exactly 5 mils. It could be 7 or 6.5 or 4.3 or whatever, okay? But it's going to be close to 5 mil. And you could even see that it might, in fact, double it or triple it. But remember, this container has 100 milliliters in it, okay? So you're not going to give all 100 milliliters to somebody. That's going to give them a lot of milligrams of medication, okay? So this one is, in fact, a multi-dose container. Another way you can tell is that, well, and this one even talks about a usual adult dose. It says you get 250 to 500 milligrams every 8 hours. 250 is just double of this. So if we have to double that to 10, that's a usual dose, not 100 milliliters. Okay. Now, not all your labels are going to say the safe dosage range over in here. But if it talks to you about how to keep it, you know, to refrigerate, discard after whatever amount of days, then it's usually going to be a multi-dose container if it's going to give you storage directions. So, multi-dose container. Next question. What is the expiration or discard time after it's been reconstituted? So that's this part down in here. It says keep tightly closed, shake well before using, refrigeration preferable but not required, discard suspension after 14 days. So our question was asking, what is the expiration or discard time after it's been reconstituted? After 14 days is when we need to trash it. Okay, let's switch gears to this next one. Vibramycin. What is the form and route of this vibramycin? Form and route. Again, it's the oral suspension. Oral is your route, and suspension is the form of the medication. What is the generic name? Generic name is one without the trademark, so it's the deoxycycline calcium. Okay, does not have to be syrup. That's not part of the name. Okay, that's more of the form. But deoxycycline calcium is the generic name. What is your unit dose concentration? Unit dose concentration. That's this piece in the black box. 50 milligrams is 5 milliliters. Now, is it a unit dose or a multi-dose container? Unit dose or multi-dose container? Well, let's see if we can have some clues here. It does talk to you about some storage directions. And how much is in there? Well, we said it says a pint worth, 473 milliliters. And typically, you're going to give maybe 5, 10, 15 milliliters at a time, right? Not 473. So this one is a multi-dose container. Next question. What is the total volume in the container after it's been reconstituted? What is the total volume in the container after reconstitution? That's the 473 milliliters. Alright, what is the storage directions? Storage directions are over in here. And they're kind of hard to read on my screen, but somewhere over in here it tells you to store below 86 degrees Fahrenheit in a light resistant container. Okay, somewhere. Trade name. Trade name is the one with the little registered trademark, so Vibromycin. Alright, so let me scooch it back over here. Okay, example 3. This label is in your book too if it's easier to read there, but Suprax. It's in your book on page 235. What is the form and route? This is again an oral suspension, right? Oral suspension. What type of diluent should we use? Over in here, it tells you something about to reconstitute, suspend with 34 mils of water. So, water. What is the total amount of diluent that we're going to add to the bottle? The 34 mils. What is your unit dose concentration after it's been reconstituted? That's this part in blue here. It also lists it down in here. 5 mil contains 100 milligrams. Okay, so sometimes they'll list it in the reading, but typically it's that piece that's big and bold by the name too. Storage directions. So after it's been reconstituted, it says to store at room temperature or under refrigeration and to keep tightly closed. Alright. Next page of Suprax asks for your mixing directions. That's all this method stuff. Tap the bottle several times to loosen the powder contents prior to reconstitution. Add approximately half the total amount of water for reconstitution and shake well. Add the remainder of the water and shake well. What is the trade name and generic name? Well, trade name is Suprax. Generic name is Cefixime. Unit dose or multi-dose container? Well, we said typically you'll be pulling 5, 10, 15-ish milliliters. And there's 50 of them in there. So this is a multi-dose. Expiration or discard time after it's been reconstituted. Oh, right in here. Discard any unused portion after 14 days. Alright, let's look at example 4. The new one. What is the generic name? It doesn't even have anything about a trade name, right? So, vancomycin hydrochloride is the generic name. What is the route? Oh, this is not an oral suspension. This is an IV for intravenous use. So the route is IV. So what is the total amount in the vial? Well, 1 gram, right? 1 gram per 1 vial. What type of diluent is required? Well, it says to dilute contents with 20 mils of sterile water for injection. So what type of diluent? It's going to be sterile water. And you'll see that a lot with the IV stuff, that we have to use sterile materials like sterile water, bacteriostatic sterile water, but it does have to be sterile. It comes from the little a little cylinder, a little vial of sterile water. Okay, not tap water here. This is a good example of a unit dose concentration, or sorry, unit dose container. I didn't ask that question, but I wanted to point that out here, that this one's probably going to be a unit dose. Okay, it's just one use and it's done.